Oh, wow, this is a lot of people. We haven't had this many people in a long time. It must be a special episode. Tonight on Game Night, join everybody here as we review the nominees for the 2021 Spiel des Jahres and Kennerspiel des Jahres awards. If you like opinions, we got them. Come and listen.
Well, we got a special episode tonight where we have a fully crowded house, the first crowded house we've had in a very long time, and we're going to talk about the SDJ nominated games for 2021. For the SDJ category itself, or the Spiel des Jahres, we have MicroMacro Crime City from Pegasus Spiele and Johannes Sick. Then we also have The Adventures of Robin Hood from Cosmos and how did you say it? Michael Menzel, okay. And then we have Zombie Teenz Evolution from Le Scorpion Masqué, designed by Arnak Lobe. And that's actually kind of interesting. We have all cooperative games in the SDJ category. Then we have, in the Kennerspiel category, we have Fantasy Realms by Bruno Glasgow and WizKids. And then we have Lost Ruins of Arnak from Czech Games Editions from Min and Elwen. And we also have Paleo from Z-Man Games and Peter Rustemeyer, is that correct?
Peter Rustemeyer.
Yeah, there we go, okay. I remembered it all. So let's start off with the SDJ games. What we'll do is we're going to pick one game, and then we'll start with somebody, and we'll all have some comments about it. I already kind of know where people's minds are at, so I'm going to start with Zombie Teenz Evolution. Hey, Naveen, why don't you tell us about it? I know you got a chance to play it.
Yes, Monique and I have played this game before. It is a fully cooperative game in which you are teenagers trying to protect the school from these zombies.
Right.
So you are basically putting out fires like most cooperative games, and so there are different sections of the board, and you are trying to kind of gather resources and get them into the school and try to protect everyone.
And you're supposed to fist bump, which we did not do in
Yeah.
our video.
Yes.
Aaron, I can't believe you let us down.
I really think, and it says in the rulebook that it's an important critical rule.
Yes.
So I really don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, so it's a good family weight game, and we have actually played this 2-player as well as with another couple,
Nice.
and their young son. Things kind of unfold. So the first scenario that you play is kind of more baseline, and then you add more and more things as the game goes on. And so, especially for families, this is a great game because you can play with your kids or with other friends.
Right.
And so it was a very, very enjoyable experience for me.
Okay, Aaron.
I agree.
The guy who taught us wrong.
I'm
just teasing. I'm just going to hammer it home.
It didn't affect the gameplay. I would have loved to do the fist bumps.
Me too.
I think the fist bump rule is even better with 4 players because there's more ways to go across and over and under. And I'm sorry we missed that.
Yeah, me too.
I do. You know that I'm sort of a heavier gamer and I prefer longer and more complex stuff. So Zombie Teenz Evolution is super simple for me. And it's really out of my preferred range of complexity.
Right.
You could teach the basic game to someone in 3 to 5 minutes.
Correct.
So it's really I'm not the target audience for it. But we still had a lot of fun with it.
Absolutely.
And I also really enjoy the legacy concept where you're adding more secrets and envelopes and extra rules as the game goes on. But I also understand why that can be scary to people, to your average board gamer who's never done that to a game. It also requires a fairly large amount of buy-in. Like, are we going to enjoy playing this game 10, 20, 30 times to get to that level? It's got
all the stickers, though. The kids
it
are
does.
going to love it.
The kids are going to love the stickers. The kids are going to love the art. The kids are going to probably love the theme. And, if they have fun those first 2 or 3 times, they're probably going to be fine with it. Right. But for this and really any legacy game, if you don't like it the first couple times, you're not really going to want to stick with it for 10 to 20 hours. Right. That's just a sort of legacy game caution, essentially. But I do think this is clearly a fun game for families, even if it's not really right up my alley.
It's way cute too, and I like all the representation. I love the guy in the wheelchair; it's fantastic. Really fun stuff. What do you think, Nikki P?
I enjoy that game. I enjoyed the previous one. The kids version. This one feels a lot the same, but I guess once you start adding the evolution stuff, it'll get a little more complex than the original. I liked we kind of touched on this in the Game Night video. for non-gamers. I think it's a good.
Yeah, we had a big discussion about like video QR codes on games at Target, right? Because I think that they could bring more people in.
It's a good way to learn the game and to really learn the solid base of the game, since you have to play it at least three times or something.
I think it was twice if you get the right number of wins and objectives, but the third time is when you add something.
I think in that sense it's good. I think for adults that don't do board games very much at all even, the rules are really clear, and I like it for an introductory game. That shouldn't scare people away.
Absolutely. Mike?
So I think the game is fantastic. I think it's modern. I think it's dynamic. I think it's exciting. I think when you compare it to some of the other games, I agree with you, Nikki, that it's simple to play. It's easy to teach. It's easy to learn. And it's really, you don't spend too much time. You have fun, and then if you play another game and go on it, you can go on for there.
Sure.
I think on the kids' part, if they want to cheat on the stickers and add a couple extra stickers and put it in.
Notes.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I like the trampoline technology. That
oh my gosh, you stole it from me. That was
sorry.
It's like Zombies trampoline. The best thing ever.
And the art on those trash building tiles is just amazing how they replace those. Yes.
So I think I think the mechanics are tight. So when we'll talk about Robin Hood, there's a lot more leeway to the mechanics. I think Zombie Teenz is very tight, and I think it's a better game, I think.
Monique, did you want something to say?
Oh yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what
me
already
too.
said. But
Just trampoline, come on, you stole it from me.
I stole it.
Nobody said it till you.
I'm also primarily like a heavier gamer, but I really, really like Zombie Teenz because, on the surface level, and also considering the game that came before it, Zombie Kids, it looks like a kid's game.
Sure does.
But a lot of adults really love it. And compared to other legacy games, this is like the commitment is not as, I guess, as aggressive as other legacy games. This is kind of like you just enjoy it. You can play it whenever you want to. You don't have to keep the same group. And the surprise element of a lot of the stuff in there is really nice. Not only, it kind of gives people like short-term goals as well as long-term goals. And that's what it kind of keeps you engaged. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I appreciate the system, like Nikki was saying, that it really kind of drills in each level and then it introduces another piece. I mean, Robin Hood has a little bit of that as well. Although there's a lot more in the dark, I feel, with Robin Hood. Like you're like, oh, all of a sudden now I understand how this works. Although, Candice, I know you probably don't have a lot to say about it because you haven't played it. Only but what we said. So it's the one game Candice didn't play, and then Aaron, the only game he didn't get to play was this one. He did read the rules, but
I am looking forward to the zombie trampolines, though.
It's fun. Exactly. So then we'll move to Robin Hood. Robin Hood is a deeper game for sure. It has a book, so you must be able to read the segments. So it's absolutely a family game. And it grows as you play it as well. The game teaches you as you play it. It's like, here's what you got to do. Here's how you need to move. Start reading the book, and it'll teach you how to play. So, Aaron, I know you taught it. What do you have to say to everybody?
As much as the game lets you teach it, like I said in that video, we're going to be playing the game within 5 minutes, and we were.
Yes.
Because it just tells you a very basic move and a very basic action,
right.
And then you're off and away, and everything else is sort of fed to you as it's needed by the game book itself, which is, I think, really inventive and really neat. And Legends of Andor, Menzel's sort of first design, did a very similar thing where it just sort of gave you each thing right when you needed it and expanded your knowledge of the game in a very organic fashion, which was really great. The drawback for us not speaking German is we could not progress as far as we wanted to in this
Would
game.
have been really, so everybody wanted to continue.
We have so much missing information from pieces on the board and pages in the book that we haven't gotten to yet. It's kind of unfortunate that we've only gotten to taste a little bit of this fantastic meal that we can see spread out before us. But there you can clearly see the really creative miracle that's there, waiting to be explored in this really
okay, Candice,
book.
It's your chance now. You get to talk about a game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know we only played one chapter together.
Yeah, everybody.
Right.
But I really like how the different characters, like, each have different tasks they're doing, and you can go and explore something, and then you're reading, so there's the whole story-driven, narration that goes along with it.
Right.
The other thing I really liked about it was the turn activation system, where you're putting everybody's color disc, whatever characters you're playing, in a bag, and then you're seeing. So every round you play, you don't know if hey, am I going to be going first, last, or are the bad guys? What are the bad guys?
Guards.
The guards,
Yes.
The guards, because there's a token that'll come out, and then the guards will activate, and they might get you.
Right.
But there's a lot that's really cool about it. I'm really looking forward to playing it more and getting the English version.
Yeah. We
So I
can't
can.
wait. The book is fantastic in here too. It's really nice, and they make it. It's smart with the ribbon to return to a specific part of it.
your home
And it's like,
section.
okay, this is where anytime you're lost, just come back to this, and it'll help you get there. Naveen, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I played it also with Candice.
Yes.
And, so we all played it together, and it is pretty interesting. I am very, very excited to try the next couple scenarios.
Me too.
Because, like you said, it's just a little taste that we got right there. So I'm wondering, is there more mechanisms? Because just within that first scenario, we started learning mechanisms that were like, oh, okay.
Well, there were
okay,
pieces we see with other characters with movement stuff that we have no idea how they work.
And so that was just in that intro scenario. We got things kind of fed to us. So I'm wondering 6, 7 scenarios down the road, what else is added on and what else can be possible in this game. The artwork is very, very nice. I really enjoy his art style. And so this is no different than that.
Absolutely.
I think that's cool. There's a shaded area and a bright sunny area. And basically, if you're in shade, you're protected. There is some wiggle room in terms of how your character moves around a little bit, which gets a little bit kind of strange. So that might be considered a little fiddly. But it makes for a good cooperative experience that we're kind of joking about. I don't know if that can go there. That can kind of go there. Okay, whatever. So it's lighthearted from what I've seen so far. I don't know if it gets more intense or more deeper, but that's part of the excitement that I have, is to see exactly where it can go.
We mentioned the book is obviously a very creative and original part of that game, but you mentioned the art, which I think is integrated into the game in a way that almost no other game does. I think that's also its second most original thing, is the way that the art is really just part of the gameplay and part of the narrative itself.
Well, he's the artist, an illustrator, and he puts it so right up front. You see it; it's gorgeous too.
What do you think, Monique?
Yeah.
Oh,
Both of us. We want to know what you think.
Well, I agree with what you said. First of all, I think Lincoln said earlier that it's art forward.
Yeah.
Meaning it's the board is the art, and then they kind of built the spaces around the art. And that's the first thing that kind of struck me when you laid out the board, was all those pieces that you can
we should mention too. Little tip. Use poster tack. Poster tack is easy to pull the pieces out, and you don't destroy it trying to get it out. So anyway,
Or your fingernails.
Yes, exactly.
So I think that design is really neat, and that was the first thing that I think I asked you in that moment. Like, is this in other games? Like, I haven't really seen that.
I haven't. I mean,
much.
the Rise of Queensdale has a board that changes as you play it, but it's not as like you're developing your kingdom and stuff like that. So this is, and it changes, and it has a really awesome save state thing with the maps.
Exactly.
It's like an 8-piece board or something like that, and you connect it together, it keeps everything in place. It's real slick.
Yeah, and I really, really like the fact that it's an adventure co-op, and it feels like an adventure co-op. Like what you said, everybody has like a kind of like an asymmetric character that intertwines with the story. Like I'm like in one area of the board, and the story might talk about to Candice about my character, right?
Right.
So it's really neat, and not only that, but also the rule book is kind of like an adventure itself, right?
Yeah.
Teach you how to play as you go along. So, it's really
Mike.
neat.
So on Robin Hood, I think, as you mentioned, I think the art is fantastic. I think it's a great theme. On the legacy side, it's long, and I think that's where some of the people talk about getting in between zombie teams. It's a lot easier to get in, whereas Robin Hood, you're going to spend a lot of time into it, and I think that is a barrier that makes it maybe not as approachable of a game.
Sure. I mean, but there's a lot of that, because Paleo's got a bunch of gameplay as well.
But this is the Spiel of Jahres, and it needs to be a little more family.
Sure.
And I don't think I think it's a little unapproachable compared to Zombie Teams. I think it's a great game, but it feels like maybe it was in the wrong category.
It does seem like it's in the wrong group of 3 to me.
Nikki P, what do you think?
The words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
That's where I was going to go with that one. I like it, but I think it's not in the correct category. It needs to be in that category
It
because
teaches you, though.
it's a way deeper story. You feel more involved.
Yeah.
If this is truly a family thing, I think when I think family, they want to play a game, they want to learn it quick, they want to walk away from it. They don't want to feel like they have to make an appointment with the same people to play the game again. I like the game. I like the game a lot. I love story games. I like the flipping of the tiles. All of that. I'm not saying I don't like it because I do like it. And the theme is fun. I mean, Robin Hood's always kind of fun.
Yep.
Sure.
I just...
It's an IP, though, that is free, though.
Yes, it is. Robin Hood, Sherlock Holmes, and Cthulhu. Help yourself. Free character.
Is GameNight going to make one? Is that our next thing? For
Maybe.
next year?
Robin Hood versus Cthulhu and Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I like it.
There you go.
I do, too.
There you go. I want to see
can't
Robin
fail.
Hood shooting bow and arrow at Cthulhu. And the green going on there with that. But I think it's in the wrong category.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, well, then let's move to MicroMacro, and we're going to start with Monique. I know she's very excited about this game.
I love that game.
Yes.
So MicroMacro has a huge map, and it's kind of like Where's Waldo with like actual goals.
Over and over again, though, right? Because
Yeah.
you keep looking for Waldo multiple times.
But the thing that I loved about that game, besides the fact that the art is just, I can't even begin to imagine what that process was like to intertwine all those cases on this art map.
On that one map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was
Incredible.
cool was time, the way that they portrayed time. Like,
Yep.
you can have several different scenes on a timeline on the same map, and you're using that as your clues to solve these mysteries.
Yep.
So good.
There's one that we did that was clearly over like a week or something like that, because
Oh,
you're
wow.
seeing different things happening at different times. That was really, really cool. Deborah wants to color this, so she wants to get it in color. So I was
think-
like, I don't have no. What? Yeah.
I think that will make it too easy.
Well, no, but she
Because
just
if,
wants
like-
to as she does it, right? Because once it's completed,
And I
then it
get
doesn't
I
matter.
get the urge too.
Yes.
It really would be a
Right.
lot of fun to color.
Yes.
But like, if you colored the same character,
Right.
the
Right.
same color across the map,
easier, yeah.
you're basically drawing a line of a solved crime.
Yes,
to each
yes.
of them.
Yes.
But yeah, maybe when you've done them all and you've solved all the mysteries.
What do you think, Candice?
I mean, this caught me by surprise.
Yep.
So we the three
Yep.
of us played it for the first time today, Crime City.
Yep.
And I just, I look at the box cover and I think,
Yeah.
this game is going to be whatever, like
Yeah.
if I saw it on the shelf. But then, you laid out the map and instantly, like we started drawing the cards and you walked us through the first scenario and I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fun. Get a group together, you're working together and you're trying to solve these little mysteries, and the map is just crazy. Like, just to think about how this was designed and then drawn, or
Right.
I really enjoyed
Well,
it.
I was enjoying hearing you hypothesizing what was going on, because I love that about this game. You're like, you're creating the story around it,
Yeah.
and you came up with the rival, right?
Yes.
And
Oh, no,
you
that was
absol-
Monique. That was Monique.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I loved it because I
Yeah.
thought, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, that's what's really neat about this game. There's one that we did, we showed it as an example, but all you see is you always start from the crime scene, but this one doesn't have any steps. You just have to follow it back to see what happened. And it's fun. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, this is really amazing. What do you think, Aaron?
I agree. It's totally novel and beautiful to look at and fun to play. I think a brilliant step of theirs was putting a crime right on the box cover for you to figure out,
right.
Yep.
and the free case that you can solve on their website.
Yep, that's app.
Both of those are
you can zoom in and
amazing
stuff.
ways to try out the game without having to open one up or know someone who owns a copy.
Right.
So it's a really neat game for all ages and all skill levels. I'm not quite sure what you do once you've solved all the cases.
Yeah.
Then what?
You put it on the wall.
Yeah, I guess you
Sorry.
And
you
you
frame the
color it.
poster.
You
What do you
wait
think,
for
Nick?
this.
I like it. It's a lot of fun. I love just staring at the artwork and not even trying to solve the case, just looking for
Yeah.
all the weird stuff that they've put in it.
Another designer and artist. Like
Yeah.
this one has.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I am going to point out the crime thing, and I think
that there's some gruesome things and stuff.
US perspective,
Yeah.
there
Yes.
might be, as far as a family game, some parents might find some issues with 8 plus.
Yeah, I know. This is a German award, so
Yes, I know.
they seem to be a little bit lateral
yeah.
on some of these
Well,
things.
And I mean, it depends on the kid and the family and the.
But it is. They are going to change for when they reprint for American.
Oh,
they are
really?
Yeah, they are going to make some changes.
Oh,
but yeah,
really?
for Europe, I
Really?
think I agree. I
That
think
might
it's
be
just,
delaying. That's why the game's delayed.
there's just different cultures, and I agree
Yeah,
that is
yes.
a problem for America. You might not be able to play it right now if you're an American family because
Right.
of the
Family,
content.
I would assume with Crime City being a subtitle that there might be.
Oh yeah, there's
more on
another
the
one
way,
coming
different
already. There's an
versions,
announced
too.
one. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Naveen.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one experience that we had with it. I would love to, just like Robin Hood, I would love to try to get more of those played.
I really want you guys to play like one of the 5-star ones.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We played a 3-star one, and
Yeah.
that was challenging, but not too challenging. So I
Right.
can see why it was kind of in this category. I will say though, because it's all black and white, some people who have a little bit of a difficulty
Yep.
with like vision of close
Fine
close
details.
fine
Right.
details may struggle with this game.
They
so that
do
is
give
just
you a little
something-
magnifying
Is
glass.
it any
Yes.
good?
There's
Yeah,
a little
it's a little-
magnifying
It's like
card
a
in it.
plastic
There's a little
bookmark
plastic
type magnifying
Okay.
glass, and it doesn't help.
Nikki brought her magnifying glass out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just like Nikki, like getting lost in just the art and just kind of
Well,
forgetting that you're even doing a story is
Yeah.
kind of interesting for me. But I really enjoyed it. That was really clever. When we played, there, like you said, there was a rival without giving away anything, but there was something that had deeper. You had to have kind of deeper thought about what the
Absolutely.
human experience is
yeah.
in
Solve
solving
it.
that
Yeah.
crime,
Yeah,
which was
it's not-
really
The one that we
It's
played that was a
obvious.
5-star one had something like that
Yeah.
too. It was
Right.
really awesome.
It was
Yeah.
not
Right.
something that
It's
we
not
were
obvious.
expecting. Yeah, it was just
And
like-
it's time travel. That's what Scott was pointing out. Like the
Yeah.
game is you're going back in time. You start with the
Yeah.
crime, and you go
Oh,
backwards,
yes.
and you follow them through the city. Like we played one where you're following multiple suspects, and it's just all over the board. And we used tiddlywinks or poker bingo tokens.
Yep.
In that case, because there was different suspects, we actually assigned a color to each
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
suspect.
that's
One guy
smart.
was Robin Hood, which
Yes.
was hilarious, and so we gave
So
him yeah. And you
we saw him.
you follow it. Yeah, you guys were coming on some other stuff, and I was laughing because it was other crimes.
cases.
But Deborah sat down and immediately solved an entire one
Yeah.
without any cards. She
just
just
one.
started with the crime, found a crime scene, and then just went backwards and figured it out. That was the one I think that was actually, we didn't actually do it on the show, but it was one that was over several days at least, story-wise.
Some of it though, with her just sitting down and following it backwards, is cool and everything. But the cards and the questions that the cards ask you are very interesting too. You could sit down and just
there's-
stare at it and go backwards in time and blah blah blah. But there's specific questions that go along with a case that make it a little deeper than just that.
There were specifically cards that say what did they do that day. Like there would be a list of like 8 or 9 things that they might have done or eating or what did she eat or something like that. And it's really quite clever.
Mike, did you have notes on
So
MicroMacro?
I said there's 2 things. I agree that I had problems seeing it with even with the magnifying glass and my glasses. It was hard to get there and close, and especially when you're jockeying around.
Yeah.
It's hard to get more than 2 people on the table. I think that's one issue. I also think you need a moderator. I think Lincoln, when you taught us,
I help everybody get started by
yeah, and if you don't have that and you're just by yourself as a family, I'm not sure you have that jump start. You could get frustrated, or you look at the
Maybe.
game on the 1 or 2 star, and then you say, "Oh, I only got one of these." And then you already know the secret. So can you play it again or not? I'm not sure about the replay value. I'm not sure if you need that moderator.
Yeah,
So
I don't think it's a terribly expensive game. I mean, it is expensive in the United States right now because it's very hard to get. But I think it's in the €20 range or €25. I I might be wrong.
Think of
about
it like
that.
an unlock game or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
play and you pass
yeah,
it
that
on.
that,
Yep.
that box size is €19.95 or €19.95. in
I'm
the
not certain
stores.
about that, but I think that that's
If it-
what I.
But if it
remember.
is, that's a good price point. If it's more than that, maybe.
Well, there's not
I'm
a lot
sure.
to it, right? It's
Yeah.
a giant
Right.
sheet of paper with maybe 100 cards.
So
or
it
something,
can't be.
75.
So it shouldn't be more than
Yeah.
$19.95.
No,
Hopefully not.
we can't. We won't be making judgments
Hopefully
like that
not.
since we don't really know.
How many scenarios come in the game?
There's 16 scenarios, and then
scenarios.
there's additional scenarios like the one I said that where you just start with the crime and then go backwards. There's several of those, and then if you sign up, they give you even more things.
Yeah. I think the jury recognizes special games with unique mechanics, and I think MicroMacro Crime City should have been nominated for that and recognized for that being a really unique mechanic.
The nomination alone is the prize often. Right? Some games, The Mind is an example. I picked it to win, but it did not win, and I still think the game's fantastic. But many people don't think it's a game, and lots of stuff on that one.
It's an activity.
Okay. Well then, I don't know. I think it's, well, we played. Speaking aside, we did Groundhog Day, and Groundhog Day has that kind of element, but then it actually has a little bit more.
I think Groundhog Day is a hard and it's a better game. I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the Kennerspiel nominees. And we're going to start off with Paleo. I know Nikki loves Paleo, so we're going to have her talk about that. What do you think?
Okay.
It's your chance to spit out what you want to say before everybody talks it about.
I love this game. I can't wait to play it all the way through. I want to unlock the dice that are in there and all the other
nobody knows what the dice are yet.
And
Spoilers.
They're in the books.
I know.
You're going to see them. It's not like it's hidden in a thing like pandemic ones are. I really like it. I like the theme too. I like that it's so spot on. You are struggling to survive, and the bare essentials are the things that you need to make it through the day. You need clothes, you need spears and food, and a shelter. And there you go. I love the fact that you've got these cards and you're discarding them into a pile for everybody, and you also have the ones that you get rid of. And then you're all honing the deck together, because then those get shuffled and distributed again to everybody else. So you're not just honing your own deck, you're doing a deck for everybody. And I really enjoyed, especially watching you guys.
I know. So, spoiler, we had a terrible game.
Yes.
Everybody else has played a terrible game. And these three, now they had 7 people all chiming in.
Helping,
but they had a fantastic game with some of the most amazing luck. They still only won by the skin of their teeth, but it was amazing.
It was skill.
Well, Aaron is like one. We joke he's one of the best add-ons for every game. You want to have him. So he was absolutely helpful in it.
Naveen might not agree with that, considering all the hazards he got.
It was chance. It was entirely chance.
Yeah, but I liked watching that happen. I liked watching.
Yeah, even just watching it, right?
The good cards, the bad cards for this day, and how it changed for the next day.
That whole deck mechanism is amazing.
It's really cool.
Really amazing. Like the good. Well, it's the achievable things go out, right? Like the things that you can actually make happen, then they're gone, right?
Well, it's actually any exhaustible thing. Sometimes it's also the bad foes sometimes that have very little positive benefit. You can also get rid of those. So anything that can be burnt up, killed, used up, or exhausted goes out of the game. So there are good and bad things that go out of the deck.
Yeah.
But a lot of them end up, thinning out your prey and making the deck be much more hazardous as you go.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
What do you think?
I loved it.
I know. You were very excited.
I loved it. I just haven't been I'm trying to think, this excited about a cooperative game in a long time. The deck and the card play, just like every day we're drawing 3 cards and we're deciding, we're talking to your group about
hey, really. You can't have it.
You know the odds of what you might get for certain types of cards based on the backs, but you don't know exactly what you're going to get. And then you're working collectively, and it's challenging, it's exciting. I liked building your technologies and getting access to better tools and everything. I love flipping over the cards that have the mammoth on it, where it's okay, we know this is going to be difficult, but how difficult? We might be able to do it, and you can help each other too. So I can forfeit my action to help a teammate, maybe if I have the extra spear that they need. I think it's really great.
Yeah,
like I said,
I agree.
Most unique cooperative game that I've played in a while, and I'm excited by it.
I think that helping action is also a really key innovation in there, because you can sort of plan together okay, we all need to go get all our spears together and tackle this card, but then your card that you turned over may not have the help icon on it, and you have to deal with some other rock fall or bramble thing this turn. And so you're all working together cooperatively, but you may not always
be able to
all come together and do things. So it's again just another quirk of the deck genius and the card use, but that help icon where you can usually plan on all coming together, or just enough people who need to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish is another really neat thing about the game.
So she alluded to the bad draws. Naveen had some really, really rough dealt.
I just
7 bad cards.
I just shuffled and dealt them out. I can't.
And you evenly distribute the cards.
Yes.
But he kept getting
like 7 out of 11 cards were hazards. Yes. He
really feels the struggle.
He did one day where he took 2 but they made it.
Yeah.
They did it.
And in that sense, that you really feel the struggle of that's like an ancestor, and like you're struggling for the food, and you're struggling.
Thematically, it's all there. Remember how much energy you expended that one round, and you finished quickly.
Yes.
Then you started getting all those terrible decks, terrible cards in your deck, and you had to bail.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it. The thematic aspect of the game is really there. You feel it.
You do feel it, and the art style makes it light though, and it still feels like.
I love that they have a custom logo for this one.
Yes, that is really. That is really cool. The art style kind of makes it just like a fun and inviting kind of experience versus like if it was like a darker art style. I don't know how much.
Because this can be a struggle.
So that cartoony kind of like rock ball, so it makes it kind of like fun and just light, but you're having a good time, and you're just like, if we could just get one more piece of wood, then we can get this done.
Well, it was funny because of the specializations each had, and Monique, the frail Monique over there, was the toughest. She had so many spears. It was amazing. It was
6 spears.
But then you kept drawing the card where you needed 8 spears.
Paleo is really, really fun. And everybody's already said this, but that is my favorite part of it, the thematic integration. And just, it's almost like whimsical, but mean. And feeling that struggle that they must have gone through. And like you get a dream card, but there's a lot of like, well, I could do this, but it'll get me that, but I could do this, but that's a bigger risk.
Knowing that the card will come back to you is pretty neat. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you could discard it in just, that's the crazy thing, is that you have to get rid of cards face down without knowing what they are. So, do I want to give up this card that could be what we really need this round? It's really exciting.
Yeah, and it's really cool that it's scenario based.
Yeah.
Something like this could potentially, if it were not the way that you could cater the deck, after a few plays, it might get, the same thing, but it's not. Because you can cater the deck and you can do different scenarios.
And you play it again, it's one that's replayable because the game changes,
Very replayable.
based on what comes out of the deck, what you end up having to use to just... So all of us discussed, how is this even possible? Because we just didn't see the cards. We were shocked by some of the cards. Because you end up sometimes you just never see it because it ends up being a card that you discard to be able to do an action.
Or you get a different dream card or invention type card that no one else got in your previous game.
So there's I'll come back to you, Mike. Mike's the one who's the grumpiest. I just want to say something before we get to that.
So I'm Grumple Off. That's what they usually call me.
Actually, go ahead and grump it up, and then I'll come in and
so I
finish it up.
think it's a great idea. It's a great mechanics. I think the theme is fantastic. I think there's so much depth to it. I think it's really mean, though. I like games that give you some type of level where you can ease into it and it doesn't just beat you and kill you really quickly. So
they won. What are you talking about?
They had all 7 of us helping.
Yeah. They had to work for it, though, for sure.
So I play, there's a game called Frost on the Switch, which is very, very similar to that. It is a deck-building, single-person game, and you're trying to escape the frost and try to get to your base camp. The same type of thing. I play on easy and very easy, and I must be very bad at it, because I only win like 10% of the time. It's the same thing here. Paleo, there's a lot of subtlety on the cards that you don't see, as we've mentioned. There's cards today that I haven't seen before. I think it needs to give you some way to make it very easy and then easy, and then you can get to the hard parts.
Sure.
I don't want the game to say that it's so difficult you never win, so you get turned off by it.
Right.
I think there needs to be a balance. If you want to be challenged, you can, but the game's difficulty level is really hard at the beginning.
I think one thing that would help that would be your starting tribe or group of characters that you get. if in the rule book they say, hey, if this is your first game or you want to play the intro game, player 1 take these 2 cards, player 2 take these 2. So you have like a balance of tools and resources to get in, because it can be punishing.
Right,
we got lucky starting off with your spear and everything.
Right.
You had 7 heads helping you out. There's no. It doesn't tell you what things
6
you might
additional
need.
heads.
Yeah, 6 additional.
There's always one head that was integrated and the other 6 were helping.
They were saying that there was, it doesn't tell you which tools you need. It doesn't give you any type of direction. It just gives you a little bit of nudge.
It's very unfriendly in your first game. If you have no idea how strong the strongest mammoths are going to be, you have no idea how many tools you're going to need to build certain things.
But
you have no idea how tough the hazards are going to be.
I do feel you need to lose I mean, it's exciting that you won.
I do too.
It was a struggle. It was a struggle.
Yes.
It was a walk in the park.
It should at least be a struggle, a close struggle
Even
to
with
win.
like all your help,
first.
it was a struggle.
I don't think a co-op should punish you and destroy you on your first game.
I don't feel that
it should be.
I mean, it's
very
cruel,
tough.
but I enjoyed its cruelty.
But I think it's cruel.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be a little friendlier.
I think a lot of us have compared this game somewhat thematically and somewhat playstyle to Robinson Crusoe, which is another co-op survival game where you're sort of stuck in the middle of nowhere and learning to build simple crafts and survive against the elements in nature and gather food to survive. So there are a lot of plain and thematic similarities. And I think another good similarity is that game is tough as heck. It's very hard to survive, and the game is actively trying to kill you at almost every card draw.
Right.
But I think that's an important part of the actual theme and gameplay. And I mean, Robinson Crusoe is one of my favorite games of all time, and I certainly don't win it every time or close to 50% of the time.
Right. I think you lose a lot in that game.
I sort of think that's actually part of the appeal. I do agree that it absolutely could give you a recommended starting setup or give you a little bit more information for your first game if you wanted to, but I don't really dislike it for any of those reasons.
Sure.
I just think that's part of the learning curve.
Yeah.
For a co-op, I like that challenge. Like, I like the fact that we learned the hard way that, hey, we should make sure we have a torch in our group, you know?
Yeah. But not too hard.
Yeah.
It didn't end the game for you.
Yeah,
That was
but
at least
it
close.
makes you want to go back and try.
If they didn't get that card on the next day, they might not have won. You know?
Right,
Like,
right. But it makes
missing a torch could have cost them the game.
Yeah.
But it makes you want to go back and like, I want to play this again and keep trying to figure it out. And it's going to be different every time because of the
innovations or whatever they are, the cards.
I'm not sure what
those change the game a lot though, because you guys got the figure out the burial mound, right? Which removed the skull, which was important because you needed it.
Crucial.
If it didn't come up, that would have been a different game and you probably would have lost.
Right.
One more thing I was going to say is also, like, think about Pandemic. I don't know about you guys, but, like, the first time I played Pandemic, we got crushed.
We
got crushed. And it's, you know, I think that's just like
that's a sign of a good co-op.
For me, an exciting part of a good a co-op.
Yeah. There are some co-ops or games that punish you that really shouldn't. That really ruin it. That really make the game like, I don't even want to play this again. But I do not get that feeling from Paleo. It's a difficult game, but I don't feel like it's just being mean to be mean.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like this big challenge, it's more like the first game meanness, but after that,
you know things.
And so
they're gonna throw new loops to you, but you'll grow. And I mean, that's what's neat. You want to find out what happens. Mentioning the dice, we did play this game by the English rules, which allow you to adjust your cards when you return them to the stack.
Right.
And the important thing about that in this version of the game, because in Germany supposedly that is not the way it works, you can then put cards that you do not want to deal with, where it could be bad. I'll just take a wound for removing that card instead of like dealing with it. Now, Aaron was making a case that there are ones that are beneficial. I feel you should ignore them, and you guys succeeded by never turning over one of those. So I think, I mean, that was just my takeaway from the previous game we played. I'm like, man, you want to avoid those if you can. I mean, it was still bad, but you got a benefit, right? There was something bad that happened, but you got a benefit, which is exciting.
Right.
I think the game has a lot to offer. So we're going to move on to Lost Ruins of Arnak. That is, Candice is the only game she played. Well, I guess she played Fantasy Realms too.
Before I came here today.
But she was already like, no about that one. But anyway, so Lost Ruins of Arnak. I know you like it. I know Mike does too. He's next.
I do like it. I will say, like I tell everyone, I think it got a little bit of overhype initially when it got released, and I think it's not anything that exciting. I think the theme is cool. I like the exploration. I really like the way the card market works, where you have more items initially and less artifacts, and then it moves. I thought that was really inventive. One thing that I didn't like about it, and I played it with you for the first time, and this is again from just playing it once, but I had played a lot of Dune Imperium, which also mixes deck building and worker placement, and I love Dune Imperium. So when I played Lost Ruins of Arnak, I was like, it's okay, you know, and I would like to play it again and, you know, just kind of explore it some more. But the one thing that I did not like about it was on our game, there was one time, I think maybe it was you, Mike, that went and did, you know, explored a tile, and when the Guardian came up, and the Guardian was so easy that, like, any of us at the table, we all had the resources that we would have been able to, like, take out that Guardian, and then later, I did an explore, draw that random Guardian, and it was awful, and it just, I wish there was something where they were, like, tiered differently, or something, like, there was just too much luck or something.
Way to know what to expect. Instead of just a random.
So that kind of left a bad taste, but I like it. I think it's cool. It's not like, it doesn't blow me away. The components are great. I love the exploration, like the theme and everything. But yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, that was my major issue with that. There's a lot of volatility, and I wouldn't call it randomness, but you can lose the game on that exploration. There's nothing you can do about it, and that frustrates Eurogame players because they're like, I have no control over this. Unfortunately, that's part of the game, and I don't think it's bad or good, but it is part of it. I know there's a lot of people that talk about the exploration track being a little powerful. I disagree. I think it's a little same, that you're kind of doing the same thing a little bit. There is going to be an expansion. I think it's a very tactical game on the players. You kind of have to get in people's brains and know what to do. I look at it like it's as good as Goa. Like I know a couple of you guys haven't played Goa. It's the same idea that you take a lot of the actions based on the tactics of the other players. So it could be a really great game or really like, oh, this person took this and I'm kind of screwed. So it has that feel in it. That's why I love Go. I like Lost Ruins of Arnak, but it does have those same issues with it.
Nikki?
I enjoyed it. I think we played it twice the first time. I played it, I got through it. It was easy. The second time I played, I got stuck, and I can't really...
but you cleaned up on that track, that research track.
But I don't really remember what had happened, but I had gotten stuck in one of the exploration areas. And I didn't feel like there was a way I could get out of that situation. So that kind of colored my opinion the second time I played it. Like one time I go through it like no problem, and then the next time I got stuck and I couldn't find a way around it. But I like all the levels, I like the parts, and you can go for this track and that track, and you're moving up to that thing, but I didn't see anything new about it, particularly.
Monique?
I enjoy Lost Ruins of Arnak. I agree with what you said. There's some things that are kind of out of control that would frustrate Euro gamers. The thing that drew me to this game initially was the combination between deck building and worker placement, and I'm a really big fan of deck building, but it does it very differently. I think it's interesting, but for me, the heart of the game is really a resource exchange. You know, you're constantly like, you reach like a point at the end of the game where you're just like, well, how many arrows do I have? Can I go up the research track again if I do this? And so I guess that part of it is a little bit lost on me because I kind of wanted a little bit more of that deck building. And some of those cards are like way better than others. And if you flip it and it's not your turn, then you could be in trouble for the rest of the game. But we recently played it, I think at 3, and it's still like a fun experience. For me, it's more of like an experience. So. Yeah,
when we first played it, we played it several times at 2-player, and there was less exploration being done. There was less opportunities to go to spots because as the game goes on, you uncover new sites once those monsters are gone. Now that's a new site that other players can go to. at a smaller player count at 2 players, there's just less opportunities to go to different places. So when we finally played it at 3 or 4 players, and more people were willing to take those exploration actions, then it got a little bit more interesting for me. Because if not, it was just kind of that resource management and kind of deck building, but not so much. But I do find it gets kind of samey, me going up that track. I'm constantly thinking like, okay, well, I have 2 gems and a tablet, so okay, yes, I'll go there. Oh, I got the worker. Okay, great, I get this extra not the worker, but
assistant.
The assistant, and then so you can kind of tap that. Some of those assistants I feel are better than the others.
Absolutely.
But, and sometimes you just kind of stumble into one.
Right.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Most of my points are echoes of everybody else's. I do really like the art and the theme and the components a lot. It's a really nice game to look at and put on the table, but I kind of also feel like it doesn't really do anything brand new.
Yeah,
it
that's
feels
kind
a
of my
little
feeling
bit
too.
assembled from parts of other games, and the whole doesn't feel like anything super original to me. I mean, I do like the assistant parts, and I like the exploration parts, and I like the track of items and artifacts, but it all sort of feels like things that I've seen other places. Even if I have fun with it, it just doesn't feel like a wholly original product.
Right. I like I thought that, the evolving abilities, it's like in the beginning you got to choose from these levels and then you can move on. Right. I think Nikki kind of think actually where she had a problem in her second game was actually in the exploration aspect. She wasn't able to gain the benefits that really would help her move up the research track. And you absolutely have to move up the research track. And she just barreled down that path in the first game. In the second game, she didn't. I think I did many, many more beasts or monsters or whatever the heck they are. I think I was Guardians. I was the one who took the bulk of those out. And I think that's what hurt her, right? You need to actually have those to be able to get some of those benefits. And even though they're all kind of really small, but it's something that helps, right? That can modulate your turn where you're not able to do something in that one turn, but now you've got this that can help you take care of something and move on. Because the choices up the path as it gets more difficult to get the things you need to go to the next exploration space. Is tough.
Well, yeah, they're the catalyst. Once you get in the game, there's a lot of take that, but there's also screwage. You go up tracks to screw other players based on what
absolutely
they have.
on the research track. There's
great
some
once
stuff there.
which is great once you know the game. But once you're starting to learn,
spots before you can get there.
I love the research track.
You do need both. You need to explore and do the research track, and you can't ignore one. There's no way around that in the base game. When they have the expansion, will it make it different enough to be fresh and exciting? I don't know. I hope so. But I do feel that maybe it might not be, as you were saying, Aaron.
Well,
Nick, I don't know.
We're going to move to the last game.
Okay.
And this is you and me get to start this one because I let other people start. This one we're going to start with because Mike and I, we actually did this on the show. We recorded this for the show, and it did not work out. Both Mike and I really didn't like the game.
Fantasy Realms you're talking
yes,
about?
Fantasy Realms. I'm sorry.
Realms.
Thanks for saying that, Nikki P. And I now replayed it again today with Naveen and Monique. Monique taught us the game, and I have changed my opinion. Well, let's start with you.
Well, first off, I think, why is it in the Kennerspiel? I think it should have been
let's just swap these two. This is just
if they swapped it, it would have been a lot easier.
I completely agree. It's in the wrong category again.
Yeah. So the game, it's rummy, as we talked about. It's a mass market game, so there's a lot of issues with the rules. You have a lot of you don't know what the answers are.
The rules are like 3 pages.
Well, there's a lot of how do you figure? There's a lot of fact problems.
One thing you should probably realize: it's many years since the game was released, and it is now in German, and they only care about the German rule book. Okay. So there could have been evolution as far as that goes, because there's a new edition of this game now as well.
So
with better artwork that people think this is boring. I don't care.
So I love drafting games between Fairy Tale and Seven Wonders or Fields of Green. Those are the type of drafting games I like. Fantasy Realms is not that kind of a game.
Well, I will continue. I grew to really like it. I can see Scott was disappointed in us because we only played one game, and you absolutely have to play more than one.
Correct.
And he probably should have told us that going into it. But now, having played it several rounds, I really think it's a great game. I don't know that I agree. I don't think it should be in this category, but I think it's a lot of fun. I really like that type of game. I love rummy games. Nikki and I, we said this for decades now, but we never played those kinds of games when we were kids. So this was all new to us, and we still don't get to play them a lot. I mean, we play Ticket to Ride. That's a rummy game, but it's really quite good, and it's actually fun. It's a massive amount of luck. You're praying to get that combination. I played in our second game I had trying to do the straight one, essentially, a bunch of numbers in order. And boy, it hems you in. You're automatically, I can't do this now, I can't do that. I don't want to get rid of this because I kind of need that to bump this score up, and it was just painful. Now, I know Monique and Naveen kind of started with a hot or not type of attitude on it. I know you enjoyed it.
Yes.
But you had 2 bad games today.
Oh, I had terrible. Yeah. Worst ever. No, I really, really enjoy Fantasy Realms. I do agree, though, that this is probably not the category. I question this.
Yeah, you said it was a filler. You told me that when we talked about doing this.
It's a filler game.
And that is why I like it so much, because of the decision space in such a small amount of time. Like that is the heart of it for me. Like you have it's very simple. You have a hand of cards, but the decision of like, whoa, which one do I get rid of?
Yeah, give it to somebody else, because you put out up to 10 cards that people can take from you, and you're like, am I giving somebody something they need to make this massive combination? We had both of these players in the first game do massive combinations with over 200 points. So we really blew it on that first one. What do you think, Naveen?
So for me, I actually play it pretty well.
He won both games.
I'm actually okay. I can see the combinations of things you have to do. For some reason, it just doesn't have an exciting or like a fun factor for me. Like I get this hand of cards, and I look down at it, and I'm like, okay, these 2 cards are kind of cool. They can score me a lot of points. Let's see if I can make this work. And then turn goes, and then it's my turn. Okay, I'll take a card. Okay, that kind of works towards it. Turn, and then it kind of just does that over and over, and I'm just min-maxing, and I'm like, okay, if I can get an average of 25 points out of each card, that sounds like a good score for me right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason it doesn't have that excitement factor for me.
It has those moments of you have cards that are looking for a specific card, and then it comes out, and you're like, if I can get that card, I'm gonna get 100 points.
Oh, believe me, that happens several times. Nikki
had it happen.
She's always, it's like she sees it, I'm like, oh man. She's gonna want that one. Can she just flip it? No, she never does it. She picks the card I want every time. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know, it's just by sheer chance you get that one card. I wanted that 6 so bad, and I'm like, well, that ain't happening. And it wouldn't have been that much benefit, because the reality is maybe my hand in that case was like a bunch of stuff that was almost samey, so it wasn't really going to help me out. I wasn't going to get enough bonus points, but I wanted that 150 points and then maybe have something else do it. But to do that, you have to have all 7 cards in the straight, which is just. I know you haven't played it. I know you're probably not too. Oh no, you have played. That's
I've played this a ton.
That's right. That's right.
I have both editions.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
You played it.
Yes, I do. I played it a lot, and I'm in the same boat with Naveen.
So the second edition didn't help it for you?
No.
Is the artwork better in the second edition?
I don't think so. I think it's all the same generic
It's
fantasy.
just a different cover, right?
Yeah, the cover's different. I think maybe some slight changes to some of the cards art. But I agree, it is exciting when you're like, ooh, that card's out there. And I love the tough decision of, I don't want to put any of these down because I kind of want them, so in case I could get some, one combination or the other. Like, the discarding is always hard. It's like Arboretum, it's like the hardest thing, because I don't want to give anybody anything. That's fun, but it just, it's a very meh game to me. I will play it anytime. I have a lot of people that I play with regularly that love it. It's a filler game. It's short, so I don't, dislike it to the point where I wouldn't be down to play it. But I just don't get a spark from it. I think it's cool, it's hot and cold. Some games are maybe they have an exciting moment. Others are just just picking up cards, putting them down,
We kept seeing Nikki almost win.
Yeah.
Naveen beat you by, I think, 10 points in that first game.
If Naveen wasn't playing,
Yeah.
I would have been there.
Yeah, hazards, more hazards. Yes.
So, unlike you guys, the first time we played it, I enjoyed it.
Oh, I know, you did
liked
fine.
the game.
Yeah.
And so again, playing it today.
You barely lost that game too. We saw the score as we opened it. Haven't touched it for 3 years.
Partly because you didn't grow up playing rummy type games, and so it was all sort of new and original to you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we play a lot more rummy stuff now, but
I
really
play rummy now all the time. I mean, I've been playing board games for years now, but when I was younger, of course not. I didn't have that opportunity.
Because Mystery Rummy series, we just
and the Mystery Rummy series
and wider.
Wonderful. I enjoy, particularly with this game, is finding the synergy. So you get a hand of cards and you're like, clearly this one, forget it.
Right.
But then you get 2 or 3 that you can go this path or you can go that path. And I enjoy, like a puzzle, working out how to make that work, the synergy, and holding on to both directions as long as I can, but knowing the right time to be like, forget about, you're never gonna, you're not gonna get there, and making the right choice as far as choosing which path in the end to kind of go for. So I like it every time we play it.
Yeah.
Is it deep? No. But I enjoy the puzzly figuring out how to make the cards work.
Card combo-licious.
I'd forgotten. I know you haven't played it, and that was where I confused. Because I knew Candice played it. She was talking about the app before. She loves the app. The scoring app does make it a lot easier. There's a lot of analysis to look at.
Sometimes it could be a pain to score it with the pad. Yeah, I'm like, just pick my cards and it tallies it all up. There you go.
So now we're going to go to the part that everybody loves. No, I don't know. It's challenging. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the categories, the 2 categories, and we're going to pick first what we would pick if we were on the jury, what we think we would like to see win. And it's tough because I know there's a lot of 12 people at least, I think, on the jury, maybe 13, and they're lobbying to make games win. So it would be the same terrible task, but worse for them because it's like figuring out how that works. So this is easy. We just get to choose.
Right.
I wonder, do you know, I don't know if I've asked this before, do you know how they vote at all? Do they have a jury trial type discussion and try and convince each other of their favorite game?
I'm sure there's some of that.
Or do they just vote and count and then see?
I mean, I know that
if there's a clear
we've talked
leader
with a bunch of people in the jury. I really don't know that much of the insides of it, but I do. I mean, we used to know we still know the jury. Head of the jury, which was Tom Felber. He retired a couple years ago. And then we know Krzysztof Slavinsky, who's been on the show, and he's the head of the children's jury. But I don't really want to pick too much because I don't want to know. I mean, I like...
They may want it to be somewhat secret, not the actual process.
But I think they do deliberate.
Yeah,
sure.
Because every
but that
time
happens
we
the
talk
whole
to
time
them,
as they're developing. The list evolves.
They have a weekend before that. Is it Monday or Wednesday or whenever they say
Mondays are when they announce.
They cloister together.
Yeah, I called it the conclave.
Yeah.
Put the smoke out and get the smoke.
Yeah, so you know that there's deliberating going on.
Yes.
I don't know if there's deals or anything.
Well, and I know
but there's definite trying to convince. It's not just cast a vote and we're done.
They are journalists and they take it very seriously, and they have to do. It's a thankless job, I think, ultimately, because they have to go and play test it with tons of people, and obviously the last 2 years were probably challenging.
Yes.
For sure.
The fact that now I know that there was probably, I don't know, Germany's been struggling. They're just finally getting back a bunch of people vaccinated. So I'm not sure what happened. I know there was a lot. Krzysztof said he'd leave a bag of games and then he'd be on Skype with the family to see the playing. But he goes to schools and plays with the kids, and they have Tom Felber would have events, like big events with lots of people coming, and he would make sure, they do the whole blind play test, like you play the games, because they're rules disqualify games. It's not if the end result is great and you figured it all out with a bunch of FAQs and errata online. It has to be in the rule book.
Yeah.
Sometimes games will get nominated that don't have a flawed rule book, which means they think the game's so great, but it will not win because it has a rule problem. So it's a pretty interesting, and they're all journalists, so they all have to write about games. They're not paid by the jury. It's a work of love. They have to really enjoy the hobby.
Yep.
So do we know how it's voted on? Is it ranked voting? Like they'll say.
I don't believe so.
I don't know that.
We don't know, huh?
Yeah. But I don't think so. But it might be. I mean, that was exciting to hear about in the New York elections. They had the rank voting. I was intrigued on how that worked out. I know that there were problems, so I didn't really pay attention after to the results.
There were some.
So we're going to start with the Kennerspiel. Dave, I think, always starts with the SDJ, but I want to go the other direction because this is the main prize.
Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is we'll count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and then point. We're going to point. Nikki's got to reach as far as she might. I think I know where she's going to point, but we will all point, and then we'll just think why. We'll just say why we think that that's the winner. The one we would choose, right?
The one we would choose.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're starting the one with we would choose. Okay, so 3. Well, we'll give a moment to think. Everybody can think for a moment, but I think everybody's kind of got it together.
Yeah.
You guys
Especially
ready?
for that one. Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So 5 of us are pointing for Paleo, and 2 of us are pointing for Arnak.
Was there 2 Arnaks?
Yes.
Naveen and I.
Yep. Naveen and
Oh, okay.
Mike.
I couldn't touch it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with Naveen. Why do you think that that's the one that you would choose?
Of the 2 games, now I don't have a very long history of playing with Paleo, but I have played Lost Ruins of Arnak several times, and I do enjoy it. I know there might have been earlier in the discussion me saying that it can get kind of samey or things like that. But overall, my enjoyment factor for this is there. I am constantly thinking, I'm constantly on my feet, and I'm all alone when I'm doing that. Paleo, it's co-op, so we can kind of converse and talk about it together. I love co-ops. I love playing them. But this is my own puzzle. This is like what I need to get done, and how can I beat out my opponents? And for me, that's kind of the way it is.
Well, when we're talking about Arnak, it is familiar, but I think for a while we haven't had a good medium classic hero, and I think Arnak scratches that itch.
I agree with that.
That's why I like it.
Hey, Paleo people, let's start with figure out why we like this game. Let's start with you, Aaron.
Yeah, despite what I sort of said about Robin Hood and Zombie Teens, where you have to buy into it a lot and be ready for that 8 to 10 hour campaign, that's kind of what I like about Paleo, is that there's a lot to experience. You know, if you enjoyed that first basic scenario, you get to see how the game evolves. You get it? It's about a primitive society. But you know, there's more challenges that await you, and you get to see how the game's going to change and become harder and throw new things at you, which I think is really neat. And I, in general, would actually rather compete with the rest of the players at the table than do another co-op game, but I really found the co-op elements of this game to be really novel and new. So I kind of liked almost everything about it.
So new to this game tonight, said she was going to buy it, but as soon as she was done, so what do you have to say?
I feel the exact same way, especially the fact that it's just innovative. Like, I don't know for Lost Ruins if I would pick that over every other medium weight Euro game that came out. Like, again, that just doesn't stand out to me, but this is just refreshing. Yeah, it's just a very enjoyable, unique co-op experience. And it's challenging too, and it feels different.
Yeah.
It feels different, and so I think it stands out to me.
Absolutely. Monique?
First of all, I agree with everything that you said. But also, I just think that it's really difficult to make a cooperative game that's this engaging for everybody around the table, where everybody is so invested.
That the revealing of the cards is it. Like, you have that decision factor with those 3 cards, and then you work on stuff. You know, you're like it's all tentative too, because you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that card. As you play the rounds, it adds up. But
even that, we had to discuss. We had to, like, before we picked our card to even discuss what we were going to do further.
What you need, because you know what might be in that zone.
Really, everybody who makes every decision. Even.
Do you think this may be a late-breaking Paleo observation, but do you think it's actually harder in this game than other co-ops to have somebody alpha the game and just be like, you do this and I'll do this? And it's almost impossible.
Because they can't. They don't know what's there.
And they can't force you to do a certain thing. It's actually more co-op than some co-ops.
You can't control everything, and that's what the alphas try to do, right?
I think you're right.
That was it, Aaron.
Well, that's what I said earlier. That's what I was saying. I feel that they removed the alpha thing on the game, which I think is really, really strong. Nikki.
Yeah.
Paleo. Did we start with you? Okay.
Defend your Paleo.
All of that. I think these games are supposed to be the logical next step from family games. So if you're really into gaming and you want to go to the next level, I feel like Paleo is a next level cooperative game. It's different from everything else, and it's like Robin Hood. Even though I said I think it's in the wrong category, that kind of is a more generic storytelling cooperative game.
Yes.
And Paleo's like the next level for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although it's not really telling a story, it's a little different. But
What's most exciting for me about this one? This has branching, different category, but this has branching, which is exciting to see what might that do.
True.
That might do. This game is absolutely replayable because you set that up, and even if you just decide to do the whole campaign again, it's going to be a different experience because you're going to run into things. Now, you have more knowledge of the cards in advance, but you're still going to start with a giant deck, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Everything's going to come in a different order.
Exactly, and what I really love is that it's a common deck. Yeah. Everything goes discarded stuff and played cards, and then the cards that are out, right, that you've done. So everything comes back in, and it goes to everyone. Not everybody's going to, you have no idea, and that specialty may not be your thing, right? And then the person that is that specialty may not be able to help you on that round, and that's really exciting to me. That makes it different, which is really, really exciting. Well, that was an easy choice, okay, I guess, but it was very almost 50, 5 of us to 2 of us. I don't know. Now we're actually pick what we think the jury might pick. This is probably a tougher choice because I feel all of these games have something to offer. I know a lot of people are down on Fantasy Realms, but it's a tougher game, and it's a deeper game, even though it is. But like a filler Kenner, is exciting. A card game. I mean, you don't see card games win that often.
True.
I mean, to me, it has, and I know there's a lot of excitement in Germany. It's funny that it took that long to get there. I don't know that. Truly the excitement because there haven't been events, so I don't know exactly how that works. But
we shouldn't harp on this too much because it might just be our opinion.
Sure.
But if we made our category swap here, and if we put Robin Hood up in this category, I think Paleo and Lost Ruins of Arnak and Adventures of Robin Hood would be such a much more interesting decision, a much more interesting split up of the votes for the Kenner, at least just between the 7 of us at this table.
Right.
It would be a much more like...
Still Team Paleo.
Okay, and I might fall that way too, but it would be a much longer
I would
debate.
pick differently, but I would actually pick differently, yeah.
Okay, well,
it would change things.
I know that Mike has said he really loves this. So,
so this is who
we think the jury's going to pick. We're going right into that.
I'm going to surprise you.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
This is what you like.
Yeah,
you're picking what you like. I think that's great.
Yeah, I'll show you.
No
what
worries.
About this in the jury.
My problem is I already know what I'm going to pick, right? I'm positive, but the reality is, if we have Mark and Dave, these people that keep stats. And I've got my reputation. Nikki and I think are at the top of the heap because how that is even possible. How that's even possible, I don't know. Because I think both of us ended up
You've gotten like 3 out of 3 a few times.
Yeah, I think Nikki's done it 2 times, and I've done it once. But I've picked things I picked King Domino by myself. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I picked it, and everybody's like, "Oh man, I want to rechange it," because I said this is a fantastic intro game.
It is. It's great.
And it was the winner, but. I may be getting wrong. I mean, I think they all have something to offer, and I could agree with any one of them winning. I understand people's reticence about this, but I feel if they chose, I still think that'd be a valid choice because it's introducing people to games. It's a lot of math. Kids aren't going to play that easily. That's why I believe it's in the advanced category.
Oh, that's true.
It is. You have to be able to do that. Okay, so here we're going to do. We're going to count down 3, 2, 1, and select what we think the jury will pick. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Okay, so wait, we're not picking this one yet.
Oh, yeah.
So wow, we've got two people
I meant for
back.
this category.
Two back. Yeah, I understand.
So we're back to 2 and 5 again?
Yeah,
But
now it's
but 2 people.
I think Monique and Naveen have a chance to be correct on this.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they sure do.
Why do you think that?
I would love to see Fantasy Realms win now, just for all of us to be.
I know. I agree. I think it could happen. I mean, there's a chance.
I will quit and boycott SDJs forever. No,
I don't.
Sorry,
for that argument you guys are talking about with Fantasy Realms,
it certainly could happen. We could have the big blind spot.
Have there been a lot of games like that in the German audience? maybe that's why it's where it is also.
It just may
Right?
hit that sweet
It's
spot for a German audience that
different.
doesn't really resonate with us.
Right.
Right.
So you guys picked basically. I mean, you already were picking Arnak, but you changed. What do you? Why do you think the jury might pick it?
Because I hear the kind of the overwhelming response to this game from just the general public that I've seen play it, and people are really impressed.
They take a lot of the audience into account.
Yeah.
Totally.
Some people are just really like, this is the best game in the world. It's my favorite game ever.
I agree with the Euro comment though, right? You know, because there haven't been games like this very much.
Correct, and I know that we want to win this, and that's the other reason that we go back to this, because this is the type of Euro games we like. But we've played a lot of games.
The makeup of the jury has changed though. So there's been quite a few new people.
Right. I went to Paleo for the jury because I really want, even though the game's really hard, and I know there's I talked about some issues with the game's level of difficulty. I think it's going to match well with the Spiel Jahres category, and I think it's the right game that will come back from one of these two games.
I didn't really think about the popular,
I mean, it was sold
vote
out.
because if
absolutely.
we're gonna go by buzz, certainly.
Absolutely.
There's been so
this
much
is a
buzz.
safe choice.
Yeah.
That's why
from
I
Lost
hope
Runs.
they pick Paleo.
I
This
agree.
is a
I
safe
think
choice.
Paleo is
Yeah.
a different. I feel that its innovation should be rewarded. It's definitely really strong, and the way that the mechanism works really is a very fantastic solution for a lot of people's problems with co-op.
Yeah, maybe I didn't talk about that. You're right. We didn't talk about the alpha component, but maybe I didn't stress enough. I think the mechanics are really good.
Yeah.
There's as you mentioned, the backs of the cars is really unique and interesting, and
Plus, there's more than having those other icons on there.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Like, oh boy, do we want to do this? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I like you guys
fantastic.
kept calling the tent an easy tent. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but I love that you guys are thinking that might be the case. It's just, it could be a shortcut to it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe more, which is what's exciting about it.
Right.
you
There
know?
were big rewards on a lot of those cards.
And I mean, besides the fact that I just really adore this game, I think more people should know about it.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
do think tons of people know about Lost Ruins of Arnak. It's a buzz everywhere. But, I've heard barely
they sometimes reward the
anything.
games that are super popular. Now,
Yeah.
this has sold a lot of games. Do they want to? I mean, that's one of the
Yeah,
things that the jury
yeah.
thinks. So that
They
will be
do.
one thing that they
We'll
actually
see.
their emblem on the box earns them money for the jury.
Yes.
And it's essential to keep the jury going because they have a lot of community stuff and trying to develop new designers and all kinds of things like that. So maybe they think in those terms. I don't know. I really don't know how that stuff works. Nikki, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Nope.
Okay, well then we're going to move on to the SDJ, the premier game that should probably sell many more copies than that game will sell, but you never know. So we're going to pick what we think should win, what we would pick first. And again, I feel this is I always say it every year, but this is a lot of great games. There's some really fantastic games here.
You can think of great reasons for all
of them to win. Once again, I think every single one of them has something to offer that is different. That there's nothing like this for a legacy game. Nothing like it that is that interesting, other than the previous game. And this one's different.
It is.
This is innovative and amazing, right? So I mean, who knows? Okay, so this is what we're going to pick. We're picking what we would choose first. Boy, oh boy.
This one's really hard for me.
A little harder.
Yeah.
Really torn between these.
Yep.
And I've only played 2, and I'm torn.
Yeah.
It's
as well.
Okay, well, give you a second to think about it, and then you guys ready? Okay. I'm not ready. I'll tell you.
I don't want to just pick
Well,
one for
I
this
don't want to
one.
be picking the same thing twice, and I'm feeling like I'm going to do that. You know me.
Okay.
I get my heart into it, and I get invested.
That's okay.
I know.
If that's what your gut tells
but
you.
Dang it. I mean, I'm going to pick the one that I think will win. So
Good.
this is easy. I know what I want to win.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. This is a but much different mix. So we have 4 people picking MicroMacro, 1 person picking Robin Hood, and 2
two
people.
Robin
Oh, yeah,
Robin Hood,
2.
one
Yeah.
Zombie
Yeah.
Teens.
Okay, so let's start with the only person that picked Zombie Teenz, right?
I'm just saying, you start with Zombie Teenz, you can go to Paleo. It's a cooperative game. This is family. Yes, the graphics are a little different. I think it's modern and cool. Robin Hood, again, is a safe bet if you compare the two. I think this is what the jury should pick to be new and modern. This is the traditional.
But that's your
approach.
choice too. So.
That is
okay.
correct.
So people that picked Robin Hood.
I think, as you mentioned, that I think the jury can and should reward innovation and originality. And that beautiful book, which we are waiting for an English translation, as well as those awesome little advent calendar type flip boards that change the state of everything, and the art being so perfectly melded into the gameplay.
They should give. The problem is it shouldn't win because it doesn't include that in the game.
Stick them in there, to pick them up. Those are 3 amazing innovations that make this game like nothing you've ever seen before. I don't know if it's in the right category. I don't know how replayable it is yet because we haven't gone all the way through it, and we don't really know what it involves once you get past the first couple.
That's the problem with it. Really, kind of all the.
It just has so much promise that I want it to be very successful.
Candice?
I agree. The potential is there. I wish we could have played more. I'm so curious to delve into it.
It would have helped me solidify what I would. Because believe me, I'm torn between. I think this is fantastic, but I'm torn between these two.
I'm very torn as well. But I think, again, like with all the different characters having their own little paths, but you're all still working together. The activation system of like putting those cubes in the bag and putting your disc in the bag to determine when the turn order is, and how it seems like it's gonna keep building, and the whole like advent calendar, like flip this part of the board, you're changing the board. I just think that just like knocks it over a little bit. Like, I love this. I love MicroMacro Crime City. I think it's very inventive. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Robin Hood has.
Well, we got 4 of us with MicroMacro.
Yeah.
I know you really love it. Why do you think? Why would you pick? Why do you think you'd pick it?
Well, I feel like it's also along the lines that other people were choosing Robin Hood is because this for me is really innovative.
Yeah.
The first time I played it was
today. Yeah.
But I can't stop thinking about it because I have the truth that I'm frustrated that we can't get it. And that to me is like a big sign of like a good game. And it, in this category, it plays so quickly. It's so easy to just get in and out of it. I just think it's a lot more approachable that way as well.
Yeah. Naveen?
Yeah, it's the same thing. We pretty much align with a lot of our opinions on things. Yeah,
but Nikki and I have the same thing.
It's one of those like as a kid, I would have loved to do that. I could just put myself in that position. When I'd go to when I was a kid, I'd go to a restaurant. They'd give you those little things. I'd be all about it. And so that just kind of brings me a little bit back to kind of that feeling.
To a new level.
To a new level.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
Despite that it's the crime city and the whole family thing, if we go beyond that, I think it's something that it would be fun as a family activity. I think it gives a family a conversation piece and really just fun and just for kids to be like, what's that? Why is... And I found it and that and that. There's that discovery and that fun thing that I think as a family would enjoy. But I will say I was torn between this one and Robin Hood. I enjoyed Robin Hood as a game on its own, but if I'm thinking in terms of family, I would think this one because Robin Hood is, I don't know how this is going to sound, but you could read your kids the book.
Yeah, but I'm eager to hear what comes from the story, like what you're supposed to do. I want to know what those things are. I'm excited because you look at the board, I know we have our hideout in that one corner. I'm positive that's got to be what it is. I want to see all that stuff. I think that has a lot of potential. I'm really torn though because I'm with you. This is like a magnet to me. I want to keep looking at it. And even when you're done with the stuff, I just want to look at all the stuff because there's so many. I wonder how many things are connected to something, like all the people, because they just. As you're doing it, we were seeing stuff we'd seen on other ones. It's really fun. I do not want to spoil anything because there's a fantastic element in the one, if you haven't watched, because we did do it on the video. But I just loved the details you're seeing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that building, look what's going on in there.
Yeah.
And you had to think, like, how does this work and how does that connect? I really like it.
It's 16 stories on one
I know.
piece of paper.
No, it's
And
more than
there's
16.
more.
Yeah.
16 in the box.
Yes,
Yeah.
more than 16 in the box. There's 16 in the box and more online. Okay, so now we're going to pick what the jury picks. This is going to be challenging. Because I understand there's super compelling stuff for this game to win. There's super compelling stuff for this game to win, and I'm saying this game, Robin Hood, Zombie Teenz Evolution, and super compelling stuff for MicroMacro Crime City, because they're all really have a really great case for winning. I as much as I like Zombie Kids, I cannot believe how much I love Zombie Teenz, because it's really, really cool. We would be playing with kids too much, so although Tashi wanted to teach us, but. Because they've finished it already, of course. Okay, so you guys think you're ready? You know what you think the jury might do? I don't know. I'll make a prediction. I probably will be wrong this year. Okay, so get ready here. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now it's shifted again.
Wow.
So we've got 5 people.
5 micros and 2 zombies.
2 Zombie Teenz. Okay, well, hey, let's start with Nikki on this one, since you picked Zombie Teenz.
I think the jury will pick this one. It's more of a game. It's a good starting off point for a family getting into board games. It's got stickers, which I don't even know how to tell you. Kids just freak out for stickers. So I think I can see Grandma and Grandpa buying this at the store and thinking that this art is all cute and it's colorful and it's got to be fun, right? So that's I think the jury, that's...
You can buy this at a mass market retail, and that's exactly what it needs to be. I can see the Spiel jars on there right now, and I agree. There's some type of pull to it when you go to the store. If I saw all 3 of these at the store, Robin Hood would be down at the bottom of the shelf, and it would be in the $40 section. This is not a compelling box art for the game, and I would and as you said, Grandma and Grandma are going to pick Zombie Teenz Evolution.
Well, in Germany, they'll be picking what the winner is. I mean, that's notorious how that works.
Yes.
Okay, let's start with Aaron with the MicroMacro.
Okay, well, I mean, I do think the Zombie Teenz argument is very compelling.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us find a lot to love about Robin Hood. But I think MicroMacro is, I'd put money on this one. Right. I think this is almost the clear choice because it's the most unique, most inventive, most new thing out there. I think to go back to a couple previous SDJ winners, look at Azul, those tiles and that you can imagine, you can hear the clack of the Azul tiles in your head right now.
That was the mind year. I was a knucklehead for picking the mind over the Azul.
I think another perfect Me Plus Ultra SDJ award is Quirkle, those big wooden blocks, and the way that those fit together and make Scrabble without words.
Right.
That's how inventive and new this is. And there, as soon as, yes, it's not a great box art that sells it to you right away.
But like you said, there's a case on the box.
But the way that, once people start hearing about this and playing it once, it's going to be impossible to keep on the shelves. Remember how big Where's Waldo books were. Where's Wally for our European viewers, all 7 of you.
There's a lot more than 7.
This is going to take off like that, I'm predicting. Like, this is fun. And I agree with Mike that having more than 2 people crowding around that picture is kind of awkward. It's not great as a co-op for the whole family.
People play it on the wall.
But yeah, I would put it on the wall.
Put pins in the walls
better.
Yes.
I think this is so inventive and so much fun for people that this is going to do amazingly well. And I think Robin Hood is too complex and too much for the SDJ. The SDJ needs to be sum-upable in 2 minutes and teachable in 5 to 10.
Well, you said this was 5 minutes and we were rolling.
That's true. You're right. But not scenario number 7. Like there's a lot more going on here, and I think Zombie Teenz and MicroMacro are really where the SDJ is pitched nowadays.
Hey Naveen, I interrupted you. I'm going to interrupt Aaron to get to you now.
I think it's the most original by far.
Sure.
I think that's why
it's the exact same reason why I think that's going to win is because it's so innovative and like you said, inventive. The fact that time. The way time is on a flat 2D picture.
So cool.
And you have to find it. It's not easy. It's really interesting.
I don't know how the storyboarding for it to then actually put it down onto paper. I don't know how how somebody can even come up with something like that.
I mean, it's everything that they said, but I was actually torn between these two. But this is because it's kind of like a slow burn.
And we didn't get to experience it. That's to me, I think that this unfair.
That's a good
for this
word.
game.
That's a good phrase, though.
Yeah.
That's
Too much of it for this category, I think. And this game, as fantastic as it is, the Zombie Kids evolution is not too far off.
Too different from it?
Yeah, too different from it. And so that's why I think that this is a little bit less innovative, I guess, in that regard than this. And I want to will this into a win.
Yes. So you can buy it. It'll be hopefully available everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Candice?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everyone has said so far. It's very original, and it surprised me. You know, when I look at the box, it is very bland, and it would be something that I probably would walk by. But man, when we gave this a try, it's just so cool. Like, so much to look at. Such an inventive, creative way to make an experience for people.
It's in your head.
I know, yeah. It's like you're thinking about just wanting to look at it more. You know?
Yeah, it really is cool. And I can totally see, again, if, we're talking about something for families to easily throw on the table and play with.
Just go.
Yeah.
Christmas Day, they're going to fold this sucker out and have a
I think it just nails it.
When I first saw it, I was intrigued because I really love the art. As much as I think all of the art is great on just about everything except Fantasy Realms. This is amazing. Like, it's such a great idea and it looks so compelling and it's fun. It reminds me of Life in Hell from Matt Groening.
Yes.
And so it's and I love that stuff. I followed that when I was in college. I loved all of that stuff. And this is it's so amazing. And I love Waldo, but Waldo is, you're looking for Waldo on a big page. This is Waldo.
Yes.
It's really awesome. It's
Waldo
really like
steroids.
Yes, it's really a great idea. It's so unbelievable. It's like, thinking about Waldo, you make Waldo or Wally, it's easy, right? I just do a bunch of crazy stuff and try to do as much different as you can, and then there's Waldo, right? Let's see how I can hide him. This is like insane. Talking about storyboarding, I'm like, wow, it's like, and what's really fun is there's more things in there than it's in the game, right? And there may even be more, we don't even know, right? It's like they've introduced other things slowly.
Yeah.
So, and I cannot wait for the other game. I really want to get, this is not my copy either, so we'll probably play it through before we send it back to but I still want to buy one because I think it's really fun. I think my mom would have a lot of fun with this game too. So, well, that's it. That's what we've chosen this year. And I really thank you, all of you, for coming. It's really fantastic. We're short, Dave. We miss Mark, we miss Rusty. But it's awesome to have you. We met everybody here basically the same day. I met you later because Nikki met you. But it was like all these people that come into our lives, we got to see you a little bit, and then we've all been isolated. And I'm so happy that we can all be together. And I hope all of you are able to do the same soon. I'm not getting choked out.
Rebooting life and new friends and all of that.
But stay safe, everybody, please. And thanks to you for watching. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to our channel. If you click on the bell, you get notified when we put up new videos. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.